Oke, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, I'm Rosdiana and I'm from class 6B of English Education Department. I want to explain about literary text and I am present about element of poetry. The first is form, sounds, devices, imagery, mood or tone, and the last is time. Definition of poetry. The first is poetry is a form of writing that uses not only word but also form or lines and stanzas, patterns of sounds, rhymes, repetition, and rhythm, as well as figurative language and imagery to convey a message, tell a story, or express the author's feeling or thoughts. Any form will include some or all of these elements. How to analyze a form? The first is read thoughts for overall meaning, circle unknown word and look up in dictionary. The second, what information does the title give you? The next, read again and note that form element of poetry. And the last, read the final time to determine theme, form or structure. The first is form. Form is its appearance. Forms are divided into lines. Many forms, especially longer ones, might also be divided into groups of lines called stanzas. The second is stanzas. Stanzas function like paragraph in a story. Each one contains a single idea or takes the idea one step further, but in Indonesian is bait. And the purpose of the first stanza of the Highwayman. The next is sounds devices. Some forms use technique of sounds such as rhythm, rhyme, alliteration, consonant, assonance, onomatopoeia, and repetition. Rhythm. The pattern of beat or stresses in a form. Foot. Use pattern of stressed and understressed syllables to create a regular rhythm. Try beating out the rhythm with a finger as you read this line. The next is rhyme. Rhyme is the repetition of the same or similar sounds, usually in stressed syllables at the end of lines, but sometimes within a line. And the example of rhymes is, there are strange things born in the midnight sun by the man who moil for gold. And the next is rhyme scheme, the rhyming pattern that is created at the end of lines of poetry. There is example from it. Mary had a little lamb is A. It's pleased as white as snow, B, and everywhere that Mary went, C, the lamb was sure to go is B. If the form doesn't have a rhyme scheme in the considered to be a free first form. And the next is alliteration. Alliteration, the repetition of consonant sounds at the beginning of word. The next is assonance, the repetition of vowel sounds within non-rhyming word. And the next is consonants. Consonant, repetitive sounds produced by consonants in the middle or ends of word in a phrase or sentence. And the next is repetition, the repeating of a particular sound device to create an effect, to create emphasis upon my repeat word or lines within the form. The next is imagery. Put use words that appeal to the reader's sense of sight, sounds, touch, taste, and smell. Which sense does not following stanza appeal to? The next is figurative language. Figurative language creates this picture by making comparison. And the next is similes, a comparison using like or as. Thought of you cold, thoughts the forecast fall is stable like a driving Nile. The next is metaphor. Metaphor describe one thing as if it were another. The moon was a ghostly gallant tossed oven cloudy seas. This is example from metaphor. And the next is extended metaphor. A metaphor that extends thoughts the entire form instead of just a few lines or the form. This is example from Putri. The title is Mother to Son by Langston Hughes. This is example from Putri. The next is personification. Give human characteristic to something non-human. And the example here from personification, and the star Earthhead were dancing heel and toe. The next is allusion. Allusion, when an author or put refers to a famous person, place, or thing in history. The example, the Midas touch. Here is the high woman images create a picture of Tim, which figures are used to describe here as and his hair. His eye were hollows of madness, her hair like motley hay. This is the example from Putri. Is hollows of madness or metaphor, and hair moldy hay from simile. Which figures are used to describe the following? The first is example from simile. My love is like a rose. The second example from personification. Our love bloomed in the garden. This is from personification. And the last is from personification. The rose tipped its head as we passed by. And the next is mood or tone. The feeling the author's word choice give the form. This is example from mood or tone. The only other sounds to sweep up easy wine and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep. And the next is time. The time is of a form, it is central or main idea. To identify a form, theme, ask yourself what ideas or insight about life or human nature you have found in the form. Okay, maybe just enough here. Thank you for your watching, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.